All right, my name is Claudius Taylor, and we are running the program, and we will go ahead and pass it over to our special guest that will be talking to us all about the art of entrepreneurship in this specific session. And I'll let our guests introduce themselves, and then we will go ahead and get started.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody. One quick second as I share my screen. It's a pleasure to be here before you all today. My name is Kiante Bush. I am extremely grateful for just allowing me to join here. Claudius even gave me a glimpse of just some of the different projects and different startups you all are working on. And so I am extremely impressed. You all are working on some amazing things. And I hope at least that this session here provides some value within your entrepreneurial journey, whether it's working your way toward, your final showcase and demo day through this, or, just in general as a founder, getting to that next goal of whatever victory looks like for you. Today we'll be talking about vision to victory. But first and foremost, my name is Kiante Bush. I am the CEO and founder of Venture for Them. And so we're a startup accelerator based out of the DC area, and we help to especially connect underrepresented entrepreneurs to funding, mentorship, just general guidance in terms of workshops. We have host our Founder Fridays workshops very frequently where we bring in industry leaders on topics such as, crowdfunding, product market fit, whatever it may be that especially our network and community of founders are looking for. And so we host various activations to help bridge a pipeline and a gap for those founders. And so I'm extremely grateful to be here. Heard you all are working on some amazing things. I'll share a bit more about myself a bit later on. But first, before we even dive into vision to victory, and I hope you all can see my screen pretty clearly, right? And I hope the audio's pretty good. Any thumbs up or anything? Okay, I'm seeing some head nods, so I think we're all good as far as audio and visual. So today I'll be talking about vision to victory, mastering the art of entrepreneurship. And so before we even dive in, I just want you to think about that last word right there, victory. Think about, what does victory mean to you? It could be just in general the success throughout this program here and having general success in, the final showcase, the final demo day, or you can think of victory longer term in terms of, IPO, acquisition, whatever it may be. But I want you to think about what victory means to you. And so let's get into it. I want this to be as conversational as possible. Some of these things may seem, in a sense of, hey, I already know this, but I just want you to reframe it in a different way as we're working toward our final point where I'll have some key gems that I think you all can definitely hold dear to as you prepare for your final showcase and demo day. And so to help get things as conversational as possible, as engaging, so that I'm not, just talking to a screen for the next 30 minutes, I want you all to really get something out of this. And so I have an icebreaker for you today. And this icebreaker is pick one entrepreneur superpower pill. And so I want you guys to feel free to come off mute if you'd like, but I know a lot of people prefer to hop in the chat. And so please feel free to drop that letter in the chat of that one entrepreneur superpower pill. And I'll go through each one, A through I. And as one kind of piques your interest, please drop it in the chat. And then if you want, feel free to come off mute and share why, or something very brief in the chat that says why. Like if it's B, and you say, hey, I never need to sleep, feel free to let me know why, because maybe you feel like, hey, I don't have enough hours in the day. I need more time to get done what I'm trying to get done for my startup. So as an icebreaker, I'll go through each one, and please drop it in the chat. Take your time and think about it. I know they are some tough ones. But A says get 1 million followers. I'm assuming on social media, maybe your favorite social media platform. B, never need to sleep. C, have more than 24 hours in a day. D, have the perfect sales strategy. E, choose one famous entrepreneur to be your mentor. F, always make good hires. So maybe someone's, maybe struggling with a recent new hire. So now, I can't miss. If I take this pill, I can't miss. I'm always going to bring on somebody phenomenal to the team. G, run my business from anywhere in the world. Maybe you especially desire to be remote right now. You're not a big fan of where you are positioned. Run my business from anywhere in the world. H, have unlimited marketing spend. And then I, only ever have to work 2 hours per day. So A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I. And so please feel free to drop some in the chat. Oh, I see. I absolutely see. No hesitation at all. I like that. Absolutely see. Have more than 24 hours in a day. I resonate with that. I'm seeing some more C's come in. I'm sure some others resonate. I certainly feel like I don't have enough time in a day. Of course, working full time in a corporate space as well as building my venture fund on the side. And then I also have a 3-month-old daughter. So as you can see, based off of family, work, and everything I got going on, I do not have a lot of time. He jumped out to me significantly. I see H come in too. I like H, unlimited marketing spend. That's a really good one too. C and H, I'm seeing those frequently. F is a good one. That's a good twist. I don't know if you feel comfortable coming off mute, Omar, but I would love to hear a bit about maybe why you chose F. Did you have a recent hiccup maybe with some hiring? I'd love to hear your story just a bit.
Do you want no, it's a good thing to have a good team, and so have always a good make always good hires.
Yep.
It's something for me valuable, but only ever have to work 2 hours per day. Well, it's super.
Yeah, yeah,
Means that you are able to delegate and to make the company work, let's say, alone.
yeah. Definitely. No, I love those. I think those are two really good options too. I love the I too. You just get way more time back into just things in your specific life, things you want to specifically focus on. So I love all of them. I saw F, yep, I saw F, and then as well as G. I really like G, remote business from anywhere in the world. I'm not sure if you all have tech-based companies or you have maybe startups in particular where you're able to be remote or you have brick and mortar based. So I think that that's a really awesome one too, because I would love to do whatever I do from a tropical place. So I resonate with a lot of these. I would say my one that jumped out the most to me was definitely C. I saw a lot of C's. That one definitely jumped out to me just because I feel like I never have enough time in the day. And then I think I'm going to say maybe G jumped out the most as well, just because I'd love to work from somewhere tropical. But so just thinking about your superpowers, right? Thinking about your superpowers, I think this one is super important because it kind of helps you gauge an idea of like, all right, what am I really looking for? What am I really looking for in terms of growth in my business? And so, prime example, somebody may have selected H because you feel like, okay, maybe I'm really lacking a marketing budget, you know? And so this is one of the things that I would really be able to leverage to help support that marketing budget. But after thinking of those, I want you to think about, I saw some first and second picks. So we already kind of knocked out this third bullet here. But what would be your last pick? As you thought about the one that you would go to straight first, whether it was C, F, H, whatever it may be, what would be the one that you would select last? Like you feel like I got this one down, I'm good to go. I'd love to hear some thoughts. I know for me, I probably when I first saw A, I wasn't the biggest fan of it just because followers don't always equate to sales, right? So I know that was one that I knew I could pass on. You can leverage if you're able to leverage it, efficiently, it can definitely lead to sales, but not always. I see people on social media where that follower amount doesn't always actually correlate to a dollar amount or actual engagement. They just have that follower number there. So that was one I could pass on. But any others, any that you all think, I could do without. Maybe a quick 30 seconds to see. Also, E, I wasn't necessarily the biggest fan of it. I think it could be amazing to have a famous entrepreneur as a mentor, but I do have some phenomenal mentors. They may not be famous, but they help to bridge a gap for me in a phenomenal way. But as you're thinking about that one that would be your last, in reality, that one could be viewed as the innate superpower that you actually have right now, an area where you are already super strong in. So, yep, I agree. I see an A, I see a B. Maybe you feel like you're getting enough sleep, you're doing good. And yep, I'm seeing some other A's. So this is just to kind of frame your mind on where do you feel like you need to meet a need most, and then one where you feel like I'm super strong in this area, I can kind of do without. Even if you're not super strong on social media, you feel like, hey, I don't necessarily need this to get my business from A to B. So this is really just to kind of gauge your vision, even just initially of, all right, what do I want next for my life, my business, and what can I do without? So I appreciate you guys participating. I want this to try to be as engaging as possible. But please trust me, I'm going somewhere with this. But first, Just to tell you a bit more about myself, you may be wondering who the heck is this guy? What's his background? I've been in the tech consulting industry for over 8 years, as well as the startup ecosystem. Within my tech consulting career, I supported various large notable companies from Accenture to Deloitte and Booz Allen. But also in my startup ecosystem journey, I've also supported Generator as a mentor as well. So a lot of love for Generator. They've shown us a lot of love as far as our workshops and support for events and so forth. I've been a mentor for Techstars, and also a mentor for universities such as Wharton as well. So definitely, just have a passion for just supporting founders, and especially within the tech consulting space as well. Attended Morgan State University, where I received my bachelor's degree in engineering and also returned for my MBA a couple of years ago. And also concurrently, while at Morgan for my MBA, I worked at Hopkins as well. I studied at Hopkins as well for some credits toward my MBA. And then lastly, down here is my actual company. We're a startup accelerator, of course, as I mentioned, and a social enterprise geared towards supporting underfunded and underrepresented entrepreneurs by the name of Venture for Them. So that is my company, and we love to help just bridge the gap for founders and meet them at wherever they especially have a need at. And so just a bit about me and my career trajectory and some of the corporations I've worked with. But next, another way that you all can get engaged as well. And so what does it mean to be an entrepreneur? As we're thinking about vision, of course, we all have some type of singularity in terms of what we think that vision is. I know this may seem elementary in some essence, but there's definitely a point to it. And so a little more engagement as well. Drop one word in the chat that describes entrepreneurs. Creativity, I love that one. I love that one. That is a really good one. I think that at the root of it all, we have to be creative, especially when you're trying to find that niche, when you're trying to find that differentiator. You definitely need creativity to see how can I separate myself from the rest of my competitors. Vision. I love it how you guys are tying in the title to it as well. Vision, freedom. That's a really good one. I love that. Maybe the freedom to control your own day, the freedom to live in your own essence of what your passion is, that you might not get from that 9 to 5. So I love that. And then vision as well. Some really good ones, guys. This is an awesome group. I appreciate the engagement. So what does it mean to be an entrepreneur? These are all components of entrepreneurship: creativity, vision, freedom, and vision as well. And so initially, when I thought of this question myself in terms of speaking to you all, here were 3 that jumped out to me initially. The nature of an entrepreneur. Very similar to creativity. I would say you have to be an innovator, right? You have to find a niche in the industry. You're solving some type of problem. You're meeting some type of need of others. So innovation is critical because you don't want to be in a market that's oversaturated, right? If somebody else is making wireless headphones and you want to do that as well, that might not be a most efficient route unless you find, okay, how does this differentiate from the AirPods? How does this differentiate from Beats headsets? So innovator, thinking, okay, how can I take this concept to the next level to meet a need that somebody else may not even be meeting? So I think that's super important. And then I said resilience. I think resilience is one that definitely jumped out to me immediately because, as we know, as you all are founders, it is not an easy journey, right? If it's an easy journey for you, raise your hand. I don't see any hands raised, of course. It's not an easy journey. It gets extremely difficult to the point where people may be looking at you like, are you crazy? Why are you doing this? And that kind of aids to the delusion, which I'll get to. But of course, statistically, we talk about resilience. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, about 45% of businesses do not make it, and about 65% in the first 10 years do not make it. They fail. And so even just looking at those statistics, to be an entrepreneur, in a way, you have to have insane resilience, but also in a way, some type of delusion, right? If you know that I'm going into a field where about half the people who I see around me aren't even going to be here in the next 5 years, that could be pretty discouraging, right? And so that leads to my third one, at least when I was thinking of some words that immediately come to mind, delusion. And so in terms of entrepreneurs, we, in a way, undergo various self-inflicted sacrifices, from exhausting time to energy, money, relationships, and more. And so in the essence, delusional optimism is often an ingredient for success. I'm sure in your journey, some of us may have left high-paying salaries to pursue your startup. So where the family may be looking at you like, hey, what in the world are you doing? What is going on? Why would you do this? Why would you leave this stability? Why would you leave this pay or insurance or whatever it may be? And so in the essence, some people may view that as a delusion, but I think that delusional optimism is often a key ingredient to the success of an entrepreneur. Just knowing that, hey, this might not make sense right now, but I believe in myself. I believe in what we're building to the point where I know this indeed will make sense. Somebody needs this. The world needs this. The community needs what I'm building. And so even when the odds are stacked against me to the point where I'm looking at these statistics that say I'm almost bound to fail, I still believe in myself. And those are the founders that I see, at least for the ones that I work with, those are the ones that make it when they have that delusional optimism in a way. And so those were three that came to mind. I have one more for you all. And this, of course, says challenges, the challenges of an entrepreneur. So please drop one word in the chat that describes your greatest challenge as a founder. It could be anything from fundraising to product market fit to marketing. You know, it could be anything. But what do you think is the one greatest challenge that you're facing at this moment? I see some hands on chins and some people in deep thought, so that's good. I want you to kind of take yourself outside of this day-to-day box, and just think, what has been your greatest challenge, whether it's from the start of this journey, or it might just be something that's heavily on your mind today. Scaling up, that's a good one. That's definitely a good one. How do I get from 100,000 to add a zero to that? You know, 1 million in recurring revenue. Time management, yep, time, product market fit. These are really good ones. These are ones that I resonate with significantly. We all are going through, in many ways, the same journey. Time management has been insane. And so definitely I'm seeing a lot of kind of routine and repetitive answers. And so that's true because we're all going through a mirror journey in many ways, even if it's a different industry or a different style company. So let me hop into it. This right here were the top three that came to mind for me. Fundraising. Fundraising has definitely been a journey as far as, because our team were both founders and funders, right? And so from the funder side, we help to provide underrepresented entrepreneurs with non-dilutive grants, and we host pitch competitions and things of that nature with larger sponsored companies, larger corporate partners from banks to, you know, larger tech companies and so forth, from the Googles and the Microsofts to PNC Bank and M&T Bank. But for us on the founder side also, we like to keep that in a separate bucket of funding. And so we're also building up our own, you know, apps and things that we're building. And so that can be a struggle for us. So we resonate as both founders and funders, how insane this journey can be. And so we think about resources like grants, accelerators, and pitch competitions. Those, of course, are things that you can leverage. So rather than just harping on the challenges, but there's also some resources that we can utilize to get over these challenges. I see another one that came in the chat, change mentality of the market. Alessandra, I think that's a really interesting one. I'm not sure if you feel comfortable coming off mute, but I would love to hear a bit more about why you selected that one, if you feel comfortable.
Sorry, I didn't understand your ask.
Just in terms of changing the mentality of the market, I wanted to learn a little bit more about your story regarding that one.
Why? Because the people are scared about cryptonomy, crypto world.
I'm sorry, could you repeat the last
Sorry,
part?
I'm not voice because I'm fever. I have fever.
Oh, no worries.
Change the mentality because the people are scared about crypto and NFTs and blockchain.
Yep. Okay. Yep. I see exactly what you mean. And now I definitely agree with that. I think that is definitely a challenge. And actually, I think I might have seen yours. I think yours was the one of the ones that was NFT based as well, right? I did skim a few of them over, but yep, I can definitely see that. I think just that buzz of crypto, you know, that took place a couple years ago, into, you know, things sinking down significantly to where even I had stepped away and I was heavily engaged in it. But then, of course, people seeing the rise of, you know, the value of Bitcoin and kind of getting back on that boat. But just, you know, just how it fluctuates, I can definitely see that fear of making sure, you know, people are on board and see the true value of it, you know, even among some of the challenges and, you know, some of the inconsistencies. So I think that's a really good one.
Yes, but Bitcoin is not the challenge. The NFTs and crypto in general, scam and fraud, and also all the things that's happened in the crypto world.
Definitely. And if you don't mind if I ask, what are some routes that you're taking to help alleviate some of that fear? if you have any at the moment that you're working on. Like just getting that customer trust, into realizing like, hey, this is something I need and something I can trust. Oh, sorry, you're still on mute, Alessandra.
Sorry.
Yeah.
In this moment is low is the point of definitely I want to adopt law and security.
Yeah.
Is a great challenge. It is not a small way.
Yeah, definitely. And it can get expensive too, just enhancing the security of it all. But I think that you're definitely on the right track 100%. Once people realize, hey, they might not even know the ins and outs of the security, system that you may have in place, the firewalls, any type of blockers and so forth. But, just in the storytelling of it all, as they understand better, I can see them, having greater trust. Even as we think about the apps we use on a daily, sometimes just somebody throwing on a two-factor authenticator, can essentially help with some of the trust. So even if it's not a massive, firewall or anything that they implement, just being able to storytell the safety of it all, I think that's important.
I really think that is an opportunity, not a wall, because the first who put the flag is the first who can definitely write the rule.
Definitely. And I think that it's certainly some challenges that come with it, but I appreciate you sharing though. I think that you all are definitely on the right track, and you have some amazing people surrounding you from Claudius and team that I'm sure are coaching you on that journey. But no, I definitely resonate with that. And even to that point, two others other than fundraising that came to my mind were customer, partner, and acquisition. And so, and as well as work-life balance. And so when we think about customer, partner, acquisition, I think the one thing that helps with founders a lot as well is a pull versus push method. So I'm attracting, the VCs and the investors or whoever stakeholders I'm looking for to me versus me consistently reaching out to them, emails and LinkedIn's or whatever different platforms I'm reaching out on. And so one thing that our team does consistently is we take advantage of that pull versus push method. Prime example, where there are large tech conferences or startup conferences, entrepreneurship seminars, our team will go and host an event. And it may just be something as simple as a founder networking mixture. But this is where the VCs and the investors are coming to because they see, hey, this may be an opportunity for my deal flow, to increase my deal flow, to connect, to get other portfolio companies in our pipeline. And so as we create this platform for them, it's more of a pull method. We're attracting the investors directly to us through these networking events and different platforms and summits that we host, rather than us consistently emailing them, hey, can you take a look at my deck? Can you this and that? Can you listen to my pitch? Because now we've already gravitated them toward us to where they're asking, who is this company? Who's hosting this? Who created this space that's making my job easier? And so that helps out a lot too. So anybody struggling with acquisition in a way, I want you to consider that as well. What type of events can I host to bring people to me versus us consistently going to them in so many different spaces? That's helped out significantly for my team. So that's a resource that I would be able to plug in for you all regarding acquisition. And then lastly, work-life balance. Of course, leveraging automation, AI, ML, even if that's not your expertise, a lot of it is very ground level now to where very streamlined, right? But also somebody spoke on a team. I want to say it was you, Omar, in terms of that pill that you selected, right? The one that said good hiring. That was a great one. You got to have a strong team. Your team is your secret sauce. I see a lot of solopreneurs, and it's just extremely exhausting, because they have this control of wanting to do it all, right? And so having a strong team, it's not rocket science, obviously, but having a strong team, but also thinking of some automation that can alleviate some of your time, whether it's sending emails or general updates. I love to use stuff like MailChimp for communications with stakeholders versus sending 10 one-off emails, just keeping it all streamlined. And so thinking of what tools you can use to help save some time. I know we talked about that. Some of us said we wanted that 24-hour pill, or the one where I only needed to work 2 hours in a day. And so I think a lot of us are also wanting more time, more freedom. And so as we think about all of these things, we talked a bit about the nature of what an entrepreneur is, as you all know, but what it means introspectively to you. but then also some of the challenges I'm facing. So what is my story and how can I kind of use those challenges to create this awesome story? And so this awesome story that you're creating, of course, is what you all will be presenting very soon at your showcase, the end of the program showcase. And so here's a quick glimpse of Showcase 101. So I'll go through this, a couple of other slides, and then we'll break off into some questions. But thinking of your vision of what a founder is, your vision of what you're going through, what you desire out of this entire journey. Of course, this showcase will be a huge catapult toward that, right? Whether your vision is funding, whether your vision is additional mentors, customer acquisition, your end of program showcase will help to catapult that significantly if you're able to take advantage of it properly. So here's 4 quick steps. There's plenty more that I could have added, but I wanted to keep it high level and not, just go too repetitively over some things. So 1, very simple, do your homework. Do your homework. I don't know if you all are getting some of the stakeholders and judges information in advance of the showcase, but do your homework. If you do get that information in advance, or if you can request it, study these individuals, study the judges, study their industries, so that you can know what piques their interests. Prime example, if you know that one of your judges is an AI ML guru, right? And you know that you are either working on a component of that on your app right now, or that's somewhere down the roadmap, that's something you would 100% want to sprinkle in, because now once they see that slide of, AI ML or whatever it may be, you can know, okay, this is going to pique their interest, but I'm also probably going to get some questions on this. So let me make sure I'm strong on it. So making sure you're doing your homework early. And a lot of different accelerators and fellowships that I've worked on, they sent sometimes the information of who would be the judges in advance, or who would be the stakeholders there viewing it in the audience. And so I studied these people. Sometimes I would just go through their LinkedIns one by one, try to remember faces. I'm not the best at names, but I would at least try to remember their face and like something that I knew I could connect with them on. So immediately, as I'm meeting these people after these events or prior to these events, prior to the showcase, after the showcase, I'm able to connect with them and say, hey, you look familiar, or hey, I recognize some of the work that you're doing in, environmental science, or ecotech, whatever it may be. And then I'm able to kind of pinpoint at least a connection with these people. So that in due time, they could be a potential mentor that I'm looking for, a potential sponsor, and whatever it may be. So do your homework. Of course, obviously that means practice, right? So practice your pitch, record yourself so you can watch your body language. I am a type of person where I speak with my hands. As you can see, even though we're virtual, I speak with my hands. That's just what I do. So definitely being cognizant of your body language, being cognizant of that, practicing that pitch of yours as it's being recorded. So that you can play it back and say, hey, maybe I want to add a little more zeal in this opening. Maybe I want to use less hands or use my hands differently as I'm speaking. All of those things, even body language, down to body language, not just the content of your pitch, but how you show yourself and how people, view your body language, that's super important. So obviously, in terms of do your homework, practicing, that's the root of it all. Of course, you guys are going to be practicing, but also study who's going to be there. Study who's going to be there so you can know maybe there's 2 to 3 people, especially in that audience, that aren't judges, but I need to connect with them. I need to get their contact information. Don't try to overburden yourself and go out after all 30 people. Maybe narrow down to a top 3 to where I'm not hopping to everybody at this event and just looking like this guy that wants to talk to everybody but not build genuine connection. But like maybe pick a top 3 of like who I can really build with and connect with. So be intentional on who you're connecting with and making sure you do a little homework and studying in terms of who they are, their background. Next, I would say be concise and clear, right? You want a digestible presentation, not too many words on it, enough detail, but it's not overbearing. And I've judged pitch competitions from Techstars to Wharton to so many other organizations. And so this is often a make or break, right? How digestible is this concept? Is it too many moving pieces? Or can I describe it so that they can connect it to something else? Prime example, a startup that I worked with from our portfolio by the name of Index. They often describe themselves as the Spotify of stocks. So in the same sense of on Spotify, you can copy a playlist and share it with a friend. You can copy your lineup of stocks that you're looking at and share it with your friends. So it's very peer friendly, kind of getting your peers on board of, hey, what do you think about these stocks, XYZ? And so this is perfect for you all as well of how people digest your presentation and your startup. Sometimes things may go over their head, you know, if it's way too technical, and you've done your homework, right? So you know, hey, this person isn't super strong in this specific NFTs, right? And so I have to break this down, not too deep to where, you know, it's you know, taking what too much time, but like high level, what can I compare an NFT to, right? To where this person can easily grasp it and it doesn't take away too much time from our presentation. And so making sure it's digestible, and you can maybe even correlate some things that people may easily be aware of, and now you can connect it back to what you're building so they can grasp it. So definitely just something to think about. When you think about being clear and concise as well, think of time limits. You don't want to go over the time limit, but you don't want to be too far under either. If you have 3 to 5 minutes and you stop at 4, maybe you can leverage at least that extra last 30 seconds to further convey the passion, the questions that you may be expecting. So be very aware of the time, but you don't want to go over that 5 minutes because that could hurt you in the end and then disqualify you. So this is why, of course, doing your homework and practicing is important too, because now you can make sure that everything fits within this specific time frame and you're taking best advantage of it. Of course, none of this is rocket science, but it's just things that a lot of founders that we work with, they don't always consider. They don't always record themselves and see how long that presentation lasts and where they're routinely stopping it. Or some say, hey, it's 3 to 5 minutes. I can just stop at this 3 and I'm good. No, take advantage of at least that extra minute and a half. And so to that, talking a little bit more about now the presentation. This is really, really important for you guys. Your first 10 seconds often sets the cadence for your entire pitch. So how do you open up? Do you just go up and say, hey, everybody, my name is XYZ. My name is John Doe. This is my company. I hope you like it. You know, you can open up that way, just very formal, or you could open up with this grandiose energy, right? Hey, everybody, my name is John, or actually, no, maybe take it, not even just diving straight into your name, but like, hey, have you ever experienced XYZ? Or how many people in the audience have ever felt this way? I feel like that helps out significantly. And this is what I do often when I pitch. You know, prime example, my team is building an app where we're helping founders to get connected to local pitch competitions, non-dilutive grants, and other forms of fundraising so that they can keep equity in their company, at least in the friends and family round of early stage fundraising. And so I may open up with something that just gets everybody to relate. Show of hands of everybody who's in here currently fundraising for their startup. You may get hands all throughout the room, right? Or I may take a different spin and say, hey, everybody give a round of applause if you'd like to win some money today. You know, of course, everybody's going to want to win money, so they're going to be clapping and a round of applause, right? And so I love to open up with some type of audience engagement in that first 10 seconds, because now it helps to alleviate some of the anxiety of me pitching. Because now I've grabbed this mic, I'm looking at these people with still faces, but now I immediately shifted those faces to smiles and clapping because they're relating to my opener of how I help them engage. And so that 10 seconds controls everything. Because if you come in there, you're nervous, you don't get them engaged, and you stay nervous, you can stay nervous that entire presentation, but that first 10 seconds can be a make or break. And so I love to open up with a question or some type of call and response to either get hands or people clapping and smiling at me. And that takes away my anxiety and helps me to pitch better throughout the duration. So that 10 seconds controls almost everything in your presentation. So engage the audience. Just think about that. Engage the audience and tell a good story. Have you ever felt this way? Have you ever experienced this? Did you know? And then throw out a statistic. I see that commonly too. It could be a shocking statistic where people are like, wow, I didn't know that. Now I'm intrigued. You know, somebody told me it was a founder recently that I was judging a pitch competition, and he just had a mobile car washing company. It wasn't mind blowing or anything, but he opened up with, did you know that the mobile detailing industry is a X billion-dollar industry and projected to be way higher in the next, 2 to 3 years? Now that caught my attention as an investor, because even though I might not think it's a big deal of a mobile detailing company, now he's proven that point that this is a key industry and this is something you may want to get in on. So just think about how you can engage the audience throughout yours, just like we did on this call with the superpowers, the superpower pills, getting people more out of their, just their norm and getting engaged. And so lastly, I would say always have post-pitch action items. So regardless how the showcase goes, whether you feel like you got the place you deserved or you didn't, Don't just leave immediately and be discouraged, because that joy and the beauty of it often is what I see is sometimes the founders that win the first or the second place, they get their check, they smile, they go home. The ones that don't always get it, they hang around, they network. And you might be able to find an investor just off of networking with somebody in that audience that'll invest in you a greater dollar amount than what the initial grand prize was, in the showcase. And so always have post-pitch action items. That'll help you too. When you do your homework, you already know who's in the audience. So hey, I need to speak with this person before I leave this building. I need to get their LinkedIn. I need to get their phone number, their email, whatever they're comfortable with. But you always want to have post-pitch action items. So when you leave that stage, who am I connecting with and why am I? Because 9 times out of 10, for any demo day, whether it's virtual or in person, they're always going to want to showcase, right? They want to showcase to their stakeholders and the investors and the LPs and the GPs. So other than the judges, there are some amazing people in that audience that you guys need to connect with and should connect with. And so always have a game plan of post-pitch action items. Know who to connect with in the audience. And so I know we're running up on time, but I have 2 quick videos of 2 founders that I've worked with recently, and they do an awesome job with some of these things that I'm showing you all in terms of this showcase 101, so to speak. And so one is a quick video. Her name is Anna Cobb. So when we talk about opening up in that first 10 seconds of getting people engaged, she did a pitch at an accelerator recently, and I think she did an awesome job getting those people engaged in those first 10 seconds. So let's watch this very brief video just to get an idea of that in real time and in action.
Was an expression I used to make every single day. Why? Well, just like the 7.9 billion humans on this earth, your girl gets tired. I mean, from being a full-time entrepreneur, staying fit and fine, and just making everyday life decisions, y'all know how life be lifing. And the one thing that every single person in this room shares is that life can be exhausting. Good evening, everyone. My name is Anna Cobb, and I'm the proud founder and CEO of Rejuvenation.
All right, so that was just a quick example. Obviously, she knew her audience, right? It was still a pretty lax audience. They were, fun, not necessarily button up and uptight, but she knew that, hey, let me open up with this expression showing exhaustion, right? This expression that clearly conveys exhaustion because people have felt that way. They say, ooh, I'm exhausted. Then using that as people to kind of joke around and laugh and say, hey, I relate to this. And then segueing right into, hey, here's my plant-based energy drinks. So I think using that first 10 seconds of that over-exaggerated exhaustion that she showed got the audience interested. They were able to relate and they wanted to learn more because all of us have felt exhausted at some point, right? It's very, very simple, but it's all about the energy and reeling people in. Here's another founder that I've worked with named Quincy. So this is a bit of a different one. Sometimes when you're in person, you can do those theatrics a bit more to reel people in. However, for this one specifically, it was virtual, but he was able to reel people in a different way. So now I'll show just a quick minute of this one.
Hello, everybody. My name is Quincy Box, and I'm the founder and CEO of Q-Tech Innovations, and I am a gamer. Everybody in this room either games, has gamed before, or knows a gamer. And the gaming industry is a very large industry. There are 2.7 billion gamers worldwide, and the gaming industry is bigger than the subscription TV service, box office films, and music industry combined. An interesting fact is that people spend 2 times as much playing games than watching Netflix. In the competitive gaming space, nanoseconds are everything, and it's about quick thinking and reaction time. And as you can see, the controller has not changed much in around 30 years, which is a problem because...
All right, and we can briefly stop there. But as you can see, even though Quincy was virtual, what he was able to do was he was able to tie in one, and as I go back a little bit briefly, he was able to tie in one to reel you in with the stats, right? So everybody, of course, even if you're not a gamer, you know a gamer, your kids game, your spouse games, whatever it may be. So now you're a little bit intrigued. But then outside of that, he also talks about the total addressable market, right? Which is far greater, 173 billion. Of course, a lot of people don't know that that's a way larger industry than streaming and so many other media components. And so now as an investor, I may be allured to kind of lean in a bit more like, hey, this is a huge market that I had no idea about. then especially if you're a gamer, you relate because you know that controllers haven't really changed in terms of revolution in various years, right? And so now what Quincy is proposing is he has a patented controller to help revolutionize gaming, especially for competitive gaming, which is a huge market in terms of like esports and e-gaming. And so that's how he reels you in. It's not as, you know, animated as Anna was, but he reels you in, of course, with the stats of it all and the relatability of it all, and then the entire market. So those are just two examples of what I mean in the sense of using that first 10 seconds, whether it's getting everyone engaged from a question or a gesture, or whether it's just in general using industry stats and relatability. You know, who's a gamer, who's this, who's ever been exhausted. These are very simple things, but like it adds so much power to, you know, your story of getting people listening and focusing throughout it. And so I know it's 12:45, and so I know we're almost at time. And so just to bring things back full circle, these were our four major points for you guys to think about. One, we started with what your superpower was. So after today, I want you to think about that pill you selected and then the one that you avoided. Because the one that you avoided may be a space where, hey, I'm super strong in this. You know, I don't need the unlimited marketing pill because my team has been killing it with marketing. So let me especially weigh in on that, even in my pitch, even in my showcase. Let them know how strong our marketing is, or how strong our sales strategy is, or how strong of a mentor, you know, ecosystem we have around us. So leveraging that pill that you didn't need because you knew, hey, we're already strong in this. That in essence could be one of your superpowers you can leverage in your pitch and just in your story. We talked about, of course, what does it mean to be an entrepreneur, right? So singularity, relatability, what does it mean to be an entrepreneur? That's your identity. And that also conceptualizes your vision of what entrepreneurship is. And, you know, just that general relatability of what we're all going through, you know, which ties into those challenges. Think about the challenges and how they've molded you and how others relate. So when we talk about the challenges of maybe what Quincy was seeing, he talked about how, hey, this controller hasn't changed in years. That was a challenge that I was facing, and I wanted to be a competitive gamer. So I decided to update the standard controller to be more optimized in XYZ. You know, same for Anna. I was working XYZ jobs. I couldn't balance. I didn't have great work-life balance. I needed more hours in the day. And so I created this plant-based energy juice because I was tired of all of the sugars in the drinks and all of these extra caffeine in it. And so I created this plant-based energy drink. Actually, her story is crazy too. She had some type of wild reaction to an energy drink and was in a hospital for a while. And so this is what inspired it. So leveraging that story, it doesn't always have to be a traumatic story, but getting people to buy into why is this important to you and why is this important to the next person, you know, whether it's a health thing, whether it's an emotional thing, but making people fall in love with your baby. You know, your startup is your baby and you love it, but now the hard part is getting other people to love it as much as you do, you know, which is not always as forthright. But then lastly, superpowers, when we think about the four S's, superpower, singularity, your story, and then lastly, your showcase, right? So this is where you're piecing everything together to convey your vision, but also convey that victory because you want to shine at that showcase. You want to reel in the money, the investors, whatever it may be to catapult your business to the next level. So as we close today, I want you guys to think about those three S's, your superpower, your singularity, how do you relate to others, what your identity is, what's your story, what are the challenges that you got over, and now I can say, hey, I'm an underdog, I was an underdog, but we made it, and this is why you should believe in what we're doing, because we have this grit and we have this tenacity to where you guys have to believe in us. We have this delusional optimism, right? To where you guys need to believe in us because we believe in ourselves this much, and we have the traction to prove it. And then lastly, the showcase. So piecing it all together, conveying that vision, but also thinking, all right, I've studied the judges. I know what'll pique their interest. I know what'll get them excited and engaged, but also I know who else is in the audience that I need to connect with to make sure I solidify this funding, these mentors and so forth. So all that to say, I hope this was helpful for you all as far as vision to victory, mastering the art of entrepreneurship. And next, I'll pass it back over to Claudius, or open up and see if we have any questions. I'll let you decide that as well, Claudius. I'm not sure how much time we have. But thanks.
We do have about 10 minutes left. So I just want to open it up for questions. First and foremost, great presentation, Kiante. That's as expected. So thank you so much for your time and giving us this great presentation. It was phenomenal. I also just want to echo the sentiments of the region that, of course, we are always trying to work with the best and the brightest. And Italy is no exception. Italy has some amazing startups that you're getting to see here. And I'll definitely turn it over to any of the founders that want to come off of mute and ask any questions. All right. Well, if nobody has any questions, then we can go ahead and wrap up a bit earlier. Any closing remarks from you, Kiante, before I get to mine?
Yeah, definitely. I just want to say I'm super grateful to just be able to speak with you all, just skimming through some of your companies and even hearing some of what you shared today. Definitely just impressed with what you all are building. Super excited for your showcase. So go knock them out. And other than that, of course, even if you don't have any questions at the moment, at any point, if you do, I will drop my contact information in the chat as well. So please feel free to reach out and let me know how I can support you on your journey, whether it's coaching you through your pitch or your pitch deck. I support that with hundreds of founders, throughout the year. And so please let me know how I can support you guys to get to the next level. But other than that, I appreciate the invitation. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Kiante. Thank you, everyone, for tuning into this session. Just a couple of announcements. Thank you to those who have submitted the release form that we discussed. I will also be providing you all with a copy of the cohort summary that I'll be submitting to the region so that you guys can review it. And I actually will send it to you all before I send it to the region so you all can give it a review and say, thumbs up to what I wrote, or hey, Claudius, can you change this paragraph so it can more accurately reflect some of our most current traction, or this is how I would like to be portrayed, because of course this cohort summary will be shared with investors in advance of the weeks that we have coming up. So we're going to send it out ahead of time. So all of the investors coming are already familiar with your companies. So I will send that to you all. We already have it drafted. I will share it with you all so you all can review. And then also one request that I would like, if you all can send me your updated logos, I should have them. But if any of you all have made any design changes, I don't want to have an old logo. So I always request that if you may have a newer logo, please send me your newest logo. That's all. Other than that, everybody have a great evening, and I'll talk to you all soon. Does somebody have a question?
No, it was me saying sure thing. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
See you all tomorrow.
Thank you. Have a good one,
Bye.
everybody.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.